My name is Erin, and this is my story. I had a wonderful childhood. I grew up with very loving and caring parents, but there was always one thing that was missing in my life, and that was Christ. I had a few links that helped me to come to know Christ, and those were links that I met through college. Friend Brian, he happened to be Lutheran. He taught Sunday school and really had a lot of passion for Christ and a true love for God, and he spoke about that with me from time to time as well. He had so much going on in his life. He was training within the military. He had school. He had work. He had his son, and yet I always noticed how he would put Christ first in his life. I started my new job, my new career. My husband and I first started talking about getting married, and it seemed like there was just so much going on in my life all at the same time. And it seemed like, could I take on one more challenge in my life? And that's when I got a call from my friend Brian, and he explained to me that he was being shipped to Iraq to fight in the war. And, that was a conversation I'll never forget with him, but a very memorable one. And it was 2 months later, after that conversation, that I got the call that he was gone. He was killed February 27, 2005. Killed when his Humvee drove over a homemade bomb. And just like that, he was gone. It was a difficult time for me. I had so much pain and so much sadness. And eventually I got through that, and that sadness really turned to anger for me. It was a unique anger. It was an anger that soldiers were dying and no one was noticing. And then one day I decided to go out to Cherry Hill Park. I just wanted to take a walk and be by myself and just sort through everything going on in my life. And I started to think about my friend Brian, and I'd actually found out right after he died that his sister that he spoke about all the time, she had been killed in a car wreck several years earlier, and I didn't learn of this till the funeral. So as I'm walking around the track, I'm thinking about how did he ever get through the death of his sister, and how did he still have so much excitement on his face, every day. And that's when I started thinking about their relationships with God, and how they would often talk about Christ with me. And that got me thinking about maybe it would help if I attended a couple church services. I actually started to think that maybe this was all I could think of. This was my last resort, And so, I look off in the distance, and there's just a beautiful church. And it was the very next day. I got up, I got ready, I drove to church, I walked through the doors of Cedar Hills all by myself. I don't even know what I was thinking, but I just marched straight in, and there was Doc to shake my hand. And I remember the first messages I heard from Pastor Kent and how powerful those were for me. And I would just sit in the back and soak it all in and cry. And the healing, I think, really started to set in. Shortly after coming, I ended up becoming a member of Cedar Hills. And at that time, I decided to have myself baptized for the first time at the age of 25, which was an experience I'll never forget, a very touching moment in my life. There's a passage, it's Matthew 19, verse 30, and it reads, "Many who are first will be last, and many who are last will be first." And it makes me think about when I first walked through the doors of Cedar Hills, I almost thought of it as my last resort, that I didn't know what else to do. I was seeking help and healing and guidance. And now God is with me every day, and I think of him every day, and he is my the first one that I turn to.